Today I'm going to show you how I install a set of rear speakers in my 2017 Smart ForTwo 453. I started by ordering this pair of original brackets for the Smart 453. The part numbers are 453, 545, 0740, and 0840. I found out that Mercedes number their parts from right to left, so the 0740 is for the right side and the 0840 is for the left side. I ordered them from the local Mercedes-Benz dealership that deal with smart cars as well. They were able to get these from a warehouse in New Jersey, so I got these within 4 days. I ordered two Dayton 3-inch full-range drivers. I was told that the original speaker in the smart car were 3 inches. I mounted them on to one of the brackets, one at a time, with sheet metal screws. We're going to start by removing these two panels back here in the back. There's one screw down here, and there's another screw right there. Remove those two screws, and the rest of it is retained by retentioners behind it that we have to pop off. Now I showed the other side to show what it's like when it's open, when it's closed. On the other side, once you remove these screws, you just start by popping these out. I've already removed this panel, but I just want to show you some tricks you can use because people were talking about having to finagle this wire to get these panels off. Keep in mind that in order to get this panel off, you have to move that bottom one out first because this one holds this one down. So lift up your panel here and pop this out. Now the way to get this popped out, if you lift this gate up a little bit, little trick, wrap this cord around this gate latch, then you can pull this out easy. And then to move it back, lift that up, let it down. Now you can move the top part out. And to answer some people's question, I finally found the answer to whether or not some of the cars are equipped for the sub. I found this connector right here that was attached to the other bundle, but unfortunately I tried to get a signal through that and could not, only to find out somewhere else that this connection is controlled by the JBL amplifier, which is not installed, which means this one is not getting a signal, even though there's a plug right there that I thought I could use. So I'm gonna have to run the wires all the way up to my front after all. Now, you may not be able to see it from there. I've already installed my speaker on this bracket. These are the brackets that come with it. They're numbered. The last four numbers on them is 0740 and 0840. The number are ordered sequentially from right to left. So 0740 goes on the right, 080, which this one is, goes on the left. I found out if you orientate this towards the top, these have certain shapes in it based on the contour of the paneling. That's why there's a left and a right. They're not necessarily the same. So I found that with this one, the word Mercedes got to be oriented up. It's engraved into the side. You may not be able to see it on the film. And there's a set of bolts, studs in here. 1, 2, 3 that are just outside of the thing, the insulation. You put those on there, and that's how it's going to go in. Like such. I'm going to have to cut a hole in this this insulation so the speaker sound can come through. But that's how it's going to sit behind this panel. Right now it may not look like it, but this panel's dropped down. But that's how it's going to fit in there. I'll try to give you a better shot of what I'm talking about in here. This may give you a better view of how this thing sits in here. There's a stud here and a stud to the left and right of those three, the studded bracket here. So I pull this out, you'll be able to see the studs, one here, one there, and one there. That's what this speaker bracket mounts to. So again, I put it back in place and you'll see how it goes. And that's how it would sit. The bolts that hold this thing down, the nuts, I'm sorry, are M9 bolts. They're hard to find for some reason, but they're hard to find with the flange bolt, which I wanted to use. So I just got lock washers and the regular M9 nut to go on there. First I went wires from this side up through the headliner here, over under that seal, and all the way to the other side and behind that panel. Then behind this upper panel, I ran it down behind this seal. Behind this seal. I ran it across on where these two things connect, and under that all the way to underneath the seat. And I'm gonna make my connections right here under the seat. I'm gonna simply connect these two. The solid one is the positive, one with the black stripe would be the negative. Just enough to get grip on the connector there. Should get a good twist on these. If you look at the speakers, you'll see the big spade blade is the positive. So I'm going to take the large connector, place it in there all the way up where the tip touches the metal. I don't have the best of crimpers, but this is going to have to do. Crimp that down. Make sure it's all the way in there. Once you're sure that the metal's in there, you can go ahead and do the other side. Fold it over. So now I'm going to pinch that whole thing down on the metal part. That won't be pulling out. And the negative side in. Similar to that on this one. Bring it down. Yeah, see that nice and tight. Those won't be slipping out. Now one thing I noticed though, with these, some of these blades are not tight enough to stay on the retention. Like that's moving. So all you got to do is take your pair of pliers or vice grips, whatever, and bend this down a little bit, ever so slightly on both sides. Was a little tight. We can get it in there. Yeah. So we'll be able to slide that in when we're ready. Okay, that's how we're going to have it hooked up. I'm going to show you how I mount it against the wall. I'm going to go ahead and connect this because it's going to hurt for me to get to these while it's up against there. Now we're going to take the 3 M6 nuts, and since I couldn't find the one with the flares on them, I'm going to use lock washers on them. So I I'll do one at a time. Lock washer and a nut. Before I go in close, I'm going to go ahead and attach these wires to the positive side, all the way down, and to the negative. Before you go ahead and put this in, you want to make sure it works. Let me go do that first. Some of you may have recalled I had previously installed this line out converter. So I use to convert the line out to the RCA. But I didn't use that anymore after I installed my new head unit. But these are still connected to the car. So what I've done is I tapped into the left and the right channels. This is the left channel, this is what I'm working on now. And I put the deposit caps onto the line. And all I gotta do is put this unit over the line and screw this top down. That taps into the line. Now I'm gonna take the positive and left and the negative side of my wire running from the speakers here. Trim a little off. Get a nice twist on those. Since this is going inside the deposit cap, you may want to give yourself a little bit more wire. This one's good. A little more. So all I got to do, this is the positive, solid one here. I just take the top part of the positive cap off, insert it, and the wire in through it. Bring the wire back over. Put the wire down into the connector, screw it in. That made the connection. Same thing on my negative side. Push this through this hole here. Put the wire down in this connector. Screw it in. And that should work. Let's give it a try. I'm waiting for the sound to come on. Sound. That's great. It's coming from over here. I'm gonna stop this. I don't want anybody getting credit for the music, but I can hear it. That's wonderful. Now I'm gonna peel this back, orient our speaker, as I spoke to you about before. I can rerun the wires once I get in here, make sure nothing is binding it. Put the speaker up against. Things over it up. Here. Speak it in. In my case, the Mercedes has to be up and to the left. You can tell the breaker wasn't going in there properly. And make sure you're on the correct set of studs. Upper set. There. See? And then the panel's gonna come back in, be up against that because it goes up. So yep. What I'm gonna do, where the speaker sits, screw it down hand tight. All I gotta do is secure it. And we'll just put this back together. But first we're gonna have to cut out an opening in this installation. Now you can take a 10mm wrench. Hang those down. Make sure they're nice and secured. get from the other side. Over tighten them right there. So all the way down, the lock washer should keep it in place. Yeah, nice and solid. It's not going anywhere. Just a matter of me sizing it up now and make sure I got this everything in place so I can cut this right. I don't want to cut a complete out of that installation. And see what I have to cut in a circle starting here. So I'm gonna get a blade and do a circle and maybe cut it out. To do that, I cut a hole in the installation big enough to get my blade through so I can get my shear in there. I'm going to do the best circle I can do by hand. If I cut small, I can always do larger. And there you have it. The best circle I can make using the tools that I have available to me. And I put it in there. I can line it up by this little tab here. Put it a little bit this way. So I have to make a wider hole. Yeah, with the installation back in place and my speakers are available to the air or have sound coming out, I'm going to try to button this back up. So remember, some of the tabs to this is on the forward leading edge of this thing that I put in first. On this side only, don't forget to reconnect your interior light. This is it here. Slide in through your slot there. Here, back in here. So, there you have it. It's all back together again. Just keep in mind, if you take away the snaps up front, it's going to be hard to line those things back up. But do the top part first, put a screw in, line the bottom up, push them all the way into the spot, and then put the screw in. That side's done. Now to the other side. You do the same thing on the other side. I don't know if I'm going to bore you with the details. For those of you that missed how the positive taps are installed, you saw me use them, but I don't know if you fully know how to use them. But it's fairly simple. You have this connector here. One part's bait for tapping into the main wire, and the other part's for tapping into your wire that you're creating. So you take, on this case, the gray part. They have a larger one for larger projects, but I only need this size for this. And you take the item that you're tapping, and you insert the wire into the groove of that tap, like such. Again, I don't know how well you can see that. And then this has a little screw inside of it, and all you gotta do is screw it against this connector here, and it taps into the wire. Just that simple. Now, in order for you to get, that was my positive wire, so all I got to do now is screw this little red cap off here, insert the appropriate wire in through it like that. All your wires are up to there. And all you gotta do is make sure your wires are going to make contact with the little metal stud in here. Screw it down. There, it's tapped in. I'm going to do the same thing for the negative side. Just take it all the way down by hand, and it taps into the wire. You take this red cap off. Here's my negative on this one. push it through, put it into the wire, like such. Just screw it down. There. Successfully tapped into those wires. We're gonna make sure that speaker works before we put it in. For those of you wondering how I installed my speaker on that last bracket, these brackets have a certain orientation they have to go in, but the Dayton speakers are not. They're in one way. There's no certain woofer that goes a certain way. So all I want, since this is gonna be up and to the right like that, I want my connection to the wires to be down. So I just sat that in there like that, lined it up to the side. What I'm gonna wind up doing is drilling holes in the base down there. Have to move this around where the holes are so I can get somewhere to drill. Now that I got it lined up, I'm just gonna use my drill bit to make screw holes and drill into the metal. Mark the hole on that one. Mark the hole on that one. So all you want this thing to hold down where it won't rattle. So I chose a drill bit that's just a little bit more the depth of the shaft. I just want to be able to get a grip, a bite. You don't want to strip these screws trying to go into this metal. This metal is pretty hard. I just drilled the holes, snugged it down with my bit, and it's good to go. We can install it now. I reinstalled the right bracket and speaker just like I did on the left side, and ran the wires along with the rest of them up to the front and underneath the seat to be reconnected. Here's the left side, and as you can see, the interior light is working, so you have to make sure you make that connection again. There you have it back in. You can't see them, but you sure can hear them. Nice playing with my sub and everything else. That's one successful install, and I really like the way they sound with the rest of my speakers. Don't forget to reflap the seal over your paneling before you close it up. Thanks for your support, and thanks for watching.